What on earth does everyone is you pushed out actually mean? Stay tuned. Hello my lovelies, Sophia here. Welcome back to my channel, Your Thoughts Create. And in this video I'm going to explain my point of view on everyone is you pushed out, because it's taken me quite a while to actually grasp from what is going around to actually find out what it means for me. Because like I say in my other videos, Your Thoughts Create and self-concept videos, is that your thoughts create, and everything is held in your reality by what you believe in and what you assume to be true. So there were a couple of things where I've heard that everyone is you pushed out, so that people are holograms, that you created these people and they are all acting how you created them to be. And I was like, I can't understand that. It's not sitting with me. But I want to go through two different ways that I found for me in my experience, and what I teach to my clients as well, is how I found it seems to work. Okay, so again, this might not sit with you. That's fine. That's your belief. That's your assumption. You know, you can, there are plenty of other videos on everyone is you pushed out. But for my subscribers as well, you know, and for my clients, what I found is that when we meet people, when people come into our lives, we meet them, we form an opinion of them, you know, first appearances and everything. Okay, we sometimes do it straight away. No, I can't stand that person, they were an arse. Okay, or I really like this person. Yes, I like this person. Okay, so we form an opinion of somebody. Sometimes we're a little bit neutral. We're like, okay, see how this goes. Okay, but in the end, we form an opinion of that person. We have an assumption about them. So you've met this person has come into your life, whether they are friend at school, family members, specific people, you know, in relationships, or teachers, work colleagues, bosses, woman on the checkout at your local store. Okay, whoever you come into contact with and you form an opinion of them, look at the opinion or the assumption you have of them. Sometimes we get on really well with them, but then we start to change our opinion of them based on something they might have done. Okay, you may say you're going out with somebody and then they start to annoy you. Something happens, or they've said something and you're like, I didn't like that. Okay, so you start to assume something negative about them, and they start to conform to that. They start being that way. You may start to fear rejection. You may start to fear abandonment. You may start to fear that they're going to go off and be with somebody else. Okay, or start treating you badly. And then you find that they do, because that is your assumption of them. Everybody is you pushed out based on your assumption or opinion, something you are assuming about them to be true. So they have to conform to that. So I can see in places in my life where I have been in relationships, or have known people, and then I start to think negatively about them, and they start to, true to form, start behaving like that. Okay, so I can see where I've done it. So I can see that concept of everybody is me pushed out based on my assumption of them. So there have been other times where I've thought, well, I haven't created that. I don't recall creating it, or with that particular person. So, but I know now that I can change that. I don't have to put up with people treating me in a certain way. So let me clarify that again, okay? You've got some people who say everyone is you pushed out. So that means that you've created these people, that they're all holograms, or that you're the only one in your reality. You're the only one that exists. People are holograms, or people just turn up and you've created them. I don't see it like that. I create how they are acting towards me by my thoughts and assumptions about them and opinions, okay? So, I could meet somebody and straight away form the opinion that I don't like them. And nothing is going to change my mind about them. No, they're an arse. They just don't even bother talking to me because you're an idiot. Okay, we've all met people like that where we cannot stand somebody straight away for whatever reason. But that can be changed. You can change them, okay? You can start thinking of them differently and they will start to show up in your 3D as the new person you are thinking about them like, okay? We also have, say, relationships, like I say, we're going out with somebody, or we're getting on well with a friend or a family member or a work colleague or housemates or whoever, okay? And then something changes, either because of our own fears, insecurities, or doubts, or the negative story we're telling, okay? Or because they do something and then you start to form a new opinion of them. Like you could be going out with somebody and then you start to think, oh, they always leave the toothpaste lid off, or they never make the bed, they're lazy, they're disrespectful, they're not very loving towards me, okay? And then they start to conform to that. They're not very loving towards you. They always leave the toothpaste lid off or whatever, okay? They're not very helpful and don't help you out. So you've got those two aspects going on. So you can see where you have formed an opinion, an assumption, or had a thought about them that's been drip feeding, okay, negative, 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 and then that happens. That person starts showing up exactly how you were thinking them to be, because your thoughts create, and everyone is you pushed out based on your assumption and thoughts of them. But then I found that there are people where I haven't really had an opinion or a thought about them. But I just don't like the way that they treat me. Okay, I haven't known somebody that long and they treat me not very nicely, but I've got to work with them, or I've had to, be around them for a while. But you can change that. Like if you've got an annoying neighbour or housemates or a landlord or a landlady or anybody that you have just met and have sort of a couple of weeks down the line think, they're really annoying or whatever, you can change them by changing your thoughts about them. So let me give you an example of if you were in a relationship, like I say, and you were thinking to yourself, my partner is so lazy, they never help me out around the house, they don't help me with the kids, they're not very loving, they're not very touchy-feely, why is it I'm always doing the cuddling and they sort of pull away, or they don't hold my hand in public, or they don't show me much love and attention. You can change them in your mind with your thoughts so that they start acting in the way you want them to. So say I thought that my husband was lazy. He never cooked me a meal. He never tidied up after himself. He never went shopping or whatever, okay? I can start thinking to myself, instead of reacting and saying to him and having a blazing row or whatever, or saying, you know, you never do this, you never do that, can you start doing this, can you start doing that? Because sometimes they will, but then they go back to their old selves, the old patterns re-emerges. Okay, so if I thought to myself, right, my husband is so helpful, he does the hoovering, he does the ironing, he tidies up, he brings me flowers every week, he absolutely spoils me, he admires me, adores me, cooks all my dinners. Okay, then if I keep thinking that, he has to conform to that. He has to show up as the new person that I am consciously thinking about him to be. It's not going to happen overnight. I find it usually takes 2 to 3 days of constantly in my mind thinking, oh, he's so helpful, brings me flowers, he spoils me, okay, before he starts changing. So you could do that if you're living with somebody. Okay, what is bugging you about your person? Okay, what would you like them to be doing for you or to you? Okay, start creating in your mind how you want them to be, but don't react while they're transitioning, because people have to go through a transition stage to start acting how you want them to be. They will start acting in the way you want them to be. Okay, so a lot of people get hung up on free will here. In your reality, nobody has free will but you, because everybody is showing up based on your thoughts and assumptions or opinions about them. So if you had a teacher at school who was annoying you, a boss, a manager, a work colleagues, a family member, neighbours, whoever, okay, whoever in your life is annoying you or making you feel miserable, you can change them. Ask yourself, how do I want this person to be treating me? Obviously, if it's somebody who's come into your life and goes again pretty quickly and you're not having to deal with them on a daily basis, don't bother. Let them go. You know, you're not bothered about them. There's no point trying to change somebody who's not going to be affecting your life. But if you've got to live with somebody or work with somebody or go to school with somebody or neighbours, house sharing people, okay, whoever, if you don't like the way they are treating you, look at the story you're telling yourself about them and change it to a positive. And they have to conform to the new way that you are thinking about them. There are, like I say, people who have come into my life that I haven't really had an opinion about, and they start treating me negatively, and I've put up with it and been miserable, but now I can see that if I change my thoughts about them, then they change. Okay, so let me give you some examples. So I did the husband one. Okay, so if your specific person, you had been going out with an ex, because on my personal mentoring, a lot of people want personal mentoring for getting a specific person back in their lives. So if your person has blocked you, isn't talking to you, is off with somebody else, just isn't contacting you in any way, shape or form, okay, even if they are and it's minimal contact, you can start affirming to yourself, they love me, adore me, are besotted with me, desire me, worship the ground I walk on, okay, spoil me, constantly send me such beautiful loving messages, we have such deep loving conversations, okay, whatever you want them to be doing, if you change your assumptions to what you do want to be seeing, they have to conform, however long it takes. Okay, if you are constantly affirming how you want them to be and you don't think of them in the negative way anymore, you're just thinking them of how you want them to be, they have to conform. They have to. That is the law, okay? That is why everyone is you pushed out, based on your assumption or your thoughts or opinions about them, which are all the same thing. So for work, okay, I've got a client, a personal mentoring client who had a boss who was being a biatch to me, and I started affirming she's very polite, appreciates my work, worships the ground I walk on. 2 to 3 days later, her behaviour was totally changed. She is very polite and appreciative of me and the job that I do. She even talks to me every single day at work now and checks if I am doing okay. She is very humble to me. My co-worker and I have a laugh seeing her taking this complete change, okay? The same mentoring client, but another situation she found herself in was a very good friend of mine started ignoring me, but I thought, this is not my movie, okay? I'm not having this. This is not the role I'm giving her to play in my movie. So she said to herself, right, she calls me and texts me every single day, can't go a day without talking to me. I'm all she thinks about. She treats me as her older sister, respects me, worships the ground I walk on. And I kid you not, after 2 days, she was texting me saying, why hadn't I texted her? And she can't go a day without talking to me. I was shocked. We then met up and she said, every moment she spends with me is one of the best moments in her life, and how I am like an older sister to her. I couldn't believe it at first. Then I thought, wow, this thing works. Okay, I just need to be patient while she was changing, okay? A cousin of mine had an annoying neighbour for 4 years. She's put up with this neighbour who just terrorised the neighbourhood, basically. And she'd been living next door to him for 4 years, but this neighbour had been doing this for over 10 years, okay, to the rest of the neighbourhood. And she was, a lot of the time I spoke to her, oh, my neighbour is driving me mad. He's doing this, that and the other, okay? And I said, why don't you change him in your mind to how you want this guy to be turning up as? What do you mean? I said, look, he's acting the way that you are assuming. If you keep telling yourself he is basically a bully, he is disrespectful, he's not very polite, okay, he's annoying. I said, that's how he's going to keep turning up. Change him to how you want him to be in your mind, and he has to conform. So she did it. It did take about 2 months or a month or 2 months, I can't remember, a couple of weeks, okay, but then there was this situation that she could never have thought of that suddenly happened, and now the neighbour is respectful, totally changed, even treats his own family totally differently, where he was quite a bully before. And the neighbours are all thanking her, saying, oh my God, we've lived with this for over 10 years and suddenly, you know, this happens and you made him a totally different man, you know. So you can change it. I've done it with work people, I do it with family members, you know, change people to how you want them to be. You don't have to put up with people treating you in a way that you do not want to be treated, that is making you miserable. So you can change people you live with, family, partners, housemates. You can change neighbours. You can change work colleagues, bosses, whoever at work, okay? Whoever in your school life, friends or teachers, bullies at school, okay? You can change neighbours, okay? People, if you go to a regular shop and there's somebody who's there at your coffee shop who is miserable, whatever, you know, oh, they always greet me with such a lovely smile, even give me a free cup of coffee sometimes, you know. Go to town with it. How do you want people to treat you, spoil you, adore you, worship the ground you walk on, okay? Contact you if they're in no contact. Go to town with it, because everybody is you pushed out based on your thoughts, your assumptions of them, what you are assuming to be true, okay, and your opinions. All the same things. All of those three things are the same. So let's get into a technique for a challenge that you can do to test this yourself. So first, we need to appreciate that if it is somebody who's been in your life for quite a while and you've been telling yourself a negative story about them and assuming them in a negative way, that, you know, you've drip fed yourself that negativity for quite a while. So your person isn't likely to change overnight. Okay, sometimes, you know, they can change within 2 to 3 days or a week, but other times it needs a bit longer. So we're going to go for sort of 21 to 30 days for you to do this. So think of somebody who is really making you miserable, okay, that is really affecting your life. Start with that person, but then also have another person who you just want to try it on. Somebody you're not too bothered about if it didn't change. They didn't change. They've got to change, but you're not too bothered about it, okay? So that you're not just focusing on one person. Like when I'm manifesting things, okay, consciously manifesting things, I don't just focus on one thing. I've got lots of different things that I'm manifesting, because it takes my attention of me going, is it here yet? Is it here yet? Okay. So think of one person in particular, and then think of somebody who's not too important. Like I say, somebody at the coffee shop or your supermarket or a neighbour or somebody you're not too bothered about. Okay, and change them as well. So think of how you want these people to be and start assuming that role of them. They're so kind, they're caring, they're loving, they dote on me, they spoil me, you know, they're so happy whenever they're around me, they love seeing me. However, things you want them to do: give me a free cup of coffee, buy me flowers, tell me certain things. They tell me how beautiful I am, they tell me how fun I am, how kind I am. Go to town on it. Go to town on it. Have them show up in your movie how you want them to be, because they have to conform to that. That is the law of the universe. So write it out. Sometimes if you can't think, write it out as either a bullet point: kind and loving, caring, funny, you know, whatever. This is what they're going to say to me. You know, have a particular sentence that they wouldn't normally say. If they don't normally pay you a compliment, then write a compliment and think, you know, this is what they're going to say. You know, they always tell me how beautiful I am, or how I dress lovely, or whatever, okay? Things that you can test that you know is from your thoughts that created that. It wasn't just random, okay? Because there is no way that this person would ever say or do a certain thing to you. So you know it's what you've created, okay? Then when you see the change, remember, don't keep thinking every day, oh, it's not working, and you're going back to your negative thoughts. You have to stay on your positive. That is the new role. That is how you think of them from now on. There's no good thinking, oh, they're so kind and caring, and then when you see them go, oh, miserable so-and-so, okay, I hate them, won't work. You've got to be on your new strict thoughts about them, okay? Your new assumptions about them, and they will conform to that, however many days it takes. Like I say, it's usually pretty quick, but sometimes it may take longer. So by doing it to 21 days to 30 days, you're not focused on me saying you've got to do it within 2 to 3 days, okay? Hopefully it will happen sooner, but go to town on this, okay? How do you want somebody to be treating you? When people straight away do it on an SP, they're too emotionally involved sometimes, so you're become too impatient. You can't let go of the negative thoughts. So that's why I say you can do it with them, but also do it with somebody who you are not so attached to, so that you can see it work on them, because it will probably work on them quicker because you haven't got that emotional attachment to it. It's not something that you've had such a bad history with. Okay, so try this. Start changing people in your life so that you're not putting up feeling miserable. You know, you can go to work and be happy. You can go to school and be happy. You can live with people and be happy. You can have your neighbours and you're like, oh, they're fine. They're such lovely neighbours. Okay. Everybody and anybody in your life, you can change them based on your new thoughts about them, my lovelies. So that for me is what everyone is you pushed out means. Okay. My thoughts and opinions and beliefs about them and assumptions is I change them by changing my thoughts about them. Okay. Hope this video helped you. Love and light.